Hello,
Hey.
week 8. So we still got more than half the season left.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, Josh was 2-1,
I'm
and
back, baby.
I was 2-3. So anytime you're picking these, a winning week is good.
Yes.
And as long as you're not miserable, it's hard to pick a lot of winners consistently. So
True. Yeah.
Uh, all right, let's go through the
Let's
picks
get
from
through
last
it.
week, and then we have no buys this week, so it's going to be a long one. Buckle up. And we got kind of like a ghostly Halloween thing going on. I'm just
Ooh.
kidding. That's always been like that. Little glare going. All right. So going chronologically,
Mm-hmm.
the Josh had 1 star on the
I
Patriots.
did.
They got up 10-0, and then the wheels fell off
Yeah, they sure did.
to the mighty Jaguars. I had the Lions plus 1.5. They
Really?
took them a while to get that, but they got it against
Really?
my Vikings.
Yeah. Good game though.
Yeah, the Dolphins I had for 1 star. They were up 10-3 when Huntley went
Boy.
out, and then like Tim Boyle's not gonna win that game
No.
at that point. So I mean, call it an excuse, but if Huntley plays that whole game, I feel very good about what would have happened. Nonetheless, it is a loss. Seahawks at the Falcons was my 3 star. They controlled pretty much the
Yeah.
whole game, beat the Falcons in Atlanta, so it was a rat, just like I expected. Remember, I was saying, why is it only 3? Why is it only
Yeah.
3? Well, there was a reason why it was 3. Okay. And then Josh hit the Bengals at the stinky Browns.
I feel like that was pretty easy.
What did that game end up? Like, what was the final?
Really, I feel like
7, maybe?
yeah, or more than that, maybe even. It was not like the Browns didn't come off looking good.
I think it was 21-6, and then the Browns scored
Yeah.
and got a 2-point conversion, but never really had a chance of
No.
covering. And did you see Watson?
Yeah, he's out.
Well, yeah, did you see the play though?
No, I
You
didn't.
could see on the replay, you could see the pop where his foot like jiggled.
Yeah.
He popped his Achilles. Oh, it was
He's done.
gnarly.
It was exactly 7, 21-14.
So Bengal, Josh gets that one.
Yeah.
I had the Giants 1 star. Uh, they were not competitive. I was a little surprised
Mm.
by that. Their defense had been playing really well all
Yeah.
year. I think that's by far the most points they've given up. I don't know what it ended. They gave up at least 28 points in that
Yeah.
game. Um, what else? I had the Niners 2 stars, and if you're ready for more excuses, here they come. So Debo
Oh.
was allegedly completely fine like an hour before the game, and then in warmups he like couldn't breathe and ended up having fluid in his lungs and like pneumonia.
Oh goodness. What?
So yeah, Debo didn't play.
No, I knew that. I didn't realize it was pneumonia though. Like I
Yeah.
know like all their offensive weapons were out except
And then
Kittle.
Ayuk started getting going, and then he blew his ACL. Juwan Jennings didn't play. He wasn't quite good enough to
Yeah.
go. So
Still have Christian McCaffrey though, right?
yeah, he's on the bench too. He's on IR too. So like, what was it? Not even the end of the first half, and you have your top 3 receivers aren't going to play the rest of the game.
Yeah.
I still think if Debo could have played, like everyone thought he was healthy, Ayuk didn't get hurt, finished the game, I still think the Niners would have had a good chance. They like you could tell the intensity was there, kind of like I was saying. But I mean, what do you like? Your top 3 receivers and Jordan Mason's been great,
Mhm.
but like McCaffrey obviously is still out. Like at some point, you need talented people to make plays in a game if you want to win. So
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, and the Chiefs sitting on that victory and 5 others decided to go out and get another wide receiver.
Yeah,
Hopkins,
yeah.
yeah.
So DeAndre Hopkins is on the Chiefs now,
Yep.
and I've had him on my fantasy team all year, and he's done nothing. He had like
Mhm.
1 week where he was decent,
Dude,
but I
sitting
was
on a gold
always
mine now.
yeah, I was always thinking like if he can get healthy and get some consistent quarterback play, like he'll be all right. Now the big thing is obviously just being healthy
Yep.
because everyone's saying that he's the perfect fit with Mahomes. Just like, well, I mean, Mahomes can throw to any receiver, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I already have a lot of good wide receivers. Now I have another one. I need to trade a couple because
Dude,
I've been at running back.
We could trade if we were in the same league,
The
but
cross league trade.
that would be something.
Okay, one other one. The big banger for Josh, 3 stars.
Boom.
Cardinals plus 2.5, and they won the game by 1 or 2.
Yeah, it was
Kicked
close.
a short field goal
Yeah.
to end the game. So okay, we're back.
We are better than ever.
I was saying, so a little technical glitch there, but I was saying Josh 2-1 last week,
Yeah.
and I hit my 3 stars, so I'm 7-3 on 3 stars this year, which is pretty 70%. Like if you can do that on spreads, you're crushing it. All right, let's go to week 8. As I said, we have a full slate of games. There's no buys.
We do.
Tonight, my Vikings are playing against the Rams, and I have the Vikings by 4.
I have the Vikings giving 2.5.
And I think it opened at 3, and it's 3. Some 2.5s, but it is mostly 3. All right, so Josh gets that one.
We do. Takes
the lead 1-0. So Vikings 5-1, Rams are, I don't know what they are, 2-4 or something like that.
Yeah.
So some people would say this is too low, like the Vikings should be able to win by a field goal. So I guess what I'll say is the Vikings had a big divisional matchup, put a lot of effort into it. Now you fly out to LA on a short week where the Rams were at home and are at home again. So the logistics are definitely working against the Vikings. This would be a better road win than most people would think if they can get it. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a tough spot. Just going on the road, like I said, having to travel, fly out to the West Coast and play this game. So
Cup's supposed to be back too.
Oh, is he?
Okay. Well, so yes. Now whether or not he plays, I don't know, but he was practicing as if he could play. He did not play last week, unfortunately. But so I think that might be what's impacting this line a little bit too. Definitely the short week, and then the return of Cup. You may think that this is a different Rams team now.
Yeah. So I did look at him a couple days ago, and it seemed like maybe he would be out, or maybe. What did I see? They're open to trading him.
Yes, I saw that too. That they want to trade him for some reason.
But yeah, if he's back, that obviously changes things.
Changes the calculus a little bit.
So I think that's probably not the worst trade they could make, just because him and Puka have very similar skill sets.
Yeah.
So if you could trade him and get back like more of a 6'4", like what you think of as like a true number one wide receiver, and then you put Cup or Puka in the slot, I think that makes sense. Or if you could just get a bunch of stuff for him and you just feel like it's a good value trade, like it's probably worthwhile.
That was weird to me though. Like I get that if Puka's healthy, but like there's not even a timetable for his return. Like at this point, like I don't think so. It's
right.
Why trade the one good receiver that you currently have who might be healthy? I mean, I get he's a little older, and so maybe you're worried about his health, and you can get something from him while his name is still hot. But I don't know. That just seemed like it's a weird headline.
Right. Well, if they lose 2 out of the next 3 or whatever, they might just shut him down. I mean, there's no point in putting him out there if you're not going to make the playoffs. But who knows? That's remains to be seen. I mean, like I said, we're not even halfway through the season, so the next few weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, you are going to see after the next few weeks, there are going to be some teams that are almost certainly out of it, more so than they are now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you'll start to see. I forget when the trade deadline is, but you've already seen DeAndre Hopkins get traded. Devontae went to the Jets, which is kind of funny.
Help.
So the Steelers played against Devontae 2 weeks in a row, which is kind of funny.
That is a little strange. But did he even play though when they played the Raiders?
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think he was playing at all.
I don't think he played.
Which also begs the question, like when you're preparing for a team and a receiver's just been pouting and sitting out, like is that common knowledge that you know he's going to sit out, or do you have to kind of prepare for him?
It's a great question. I feel like there's some, and you get an inside track to know whether or not he's going to be playing. Like you just have a sense of it, and then you don't necessarily. I mean that situation was rotten for since the off season, so I feel like you had a pretty good understanding of what he was going to do.
Yeah. So back to this game. So Rams or what Vikings -2.5. If this is like 3.5, I think I like the Rams, but under a field goal, I don't really know what to make of it. I will say if the Vikings kind of control this game and they can cover that, it says a lot about like I guess like their resiliency or like whether they truly are one of the elite teams in the league this year.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I trust them to do that at this point or not, because like I said, it is a tough spot.
Yeah.
Going on the road, flying out west, playing a team that's been at home. They were at home and now they're at home. It's just easier. You have more time to prepare and like, if you're not flying around, if you're in your own facility 2 weeks in a row. So,
Mhm.
All right, let's move on. That's tonight. These next several will be Sunday noon games. You've got the Packers at the Jags. Did they flex this to London?
I bet the Jags wish they did. They could have stayed there another week.
Wouldn't that be something? On like Friday, they just decide to flex a game to London.
Could have done London. No big deal.
Yeah, the stadium's available. Okay, I have the Packers by 6.
I underbid this. I went giving up 4.5. Not sure why. Maybe I thought the Jags are a different
I
team.
think you're right on or close to it.
That's a weird line to me.
It was 4.5 and it went down to 4.
It's 3.5 in one place.
Yeah.
The Jags had one victory over a trash team. Like what? It's a weird line. I really thought I underdid it. Jordan Love's not injured. A lot of people think the Packers are one of the best teams in the NFC. I mean, they're a playoff team right now. It's a weird line.
Yeah, so
It's a weird line.
I'm just gonna go back. So I said Vikings -2.5. That was Josh's guess. They're actually 3, which I think is a fair line. But going back to this one, okay. So here's the conundrum that comes up all the time. Why are the Packers only -4? And given that, I always say the Jaguars would be the right side, but like, can you trust the Jaguars? So those are the two things. It's like the Jaguars, to me, has to be the right side, but can you trust them? So I'm gonna pick the Jags here. I don't know again, like how much I trust it. So I'm only gonna go 1 star, but I just have to believe that there's a reason why it's only 4. And then if you look at it, even bad teams a lot of weeks can keep a game within 3 or 4, especially at home. So I just feel like that's got to be the.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be it, right? It's the home, so it's the Jags are at home, so this is really like a 7-point spread, right? Because you spot the home team 3 points.
Yeah, if you play it that way on a neutral field, it'd be 7, and at the Packers it would be 10. So I don't know. I guess if you look at it that way, it makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, I mean 10 I think would be too much, but I mean I get 4 just seems really low. You know what? Go ahead and I'll take the Packers here. I'll go 1 star on the Pack here.
We got the 1 star clash.
Yeah, for 4 points. Yeah. I think they're better than a touchdown.
So the Packers had a tight game with the Texans too. So it's like, okay, we just played a 1-loss team, beat them. Now we're going on the road against a bad team.
Bad team.
I always say this, but like, can they bring the juice? Like, are they going to be focused on the finer details? Are they going to be highly motivated to play a bad team? Like, those are the sorts of things that go into this. And if the Jags had any sort of consistency this year, I would be going probably more than 1 star on them. But you just can't trust them more than a star.
Can't. And the London thing you bring up, they're coming back, so they have now to readjust because they were in London for 2 weeks, so now they have the whole jet lag thing in the other direction.
But they've done it like 15 times.
They
So they
have
really
over
know.
years. They do. This is clearly you can tell this is a practiced coaching staff that
Yeah.
knows how to motivate
Yep.
and get the most out of their team.
The way they do it actually when they come back from London is they take a boat
No,
and the waves kind of like it's
I
like
think-
therapy
yeah.
for
Mhm.
like, you know,
Yep.
after a tough
The
game.
wind and the waves. Yeah.
Yep, that's what happened. Okay,
All right.
enough. We have the Cardinals at the Dolphins.
The Dolphins.
And I made my guess thinking it was 50-50 whether Tua would play, so I
Yeah.
kind of middled it to an extent. I guess I sort of did assume he would play more so than not. But anyway, I have Dolphins by 3.
I have them giving 2.
Okay.
Dolphins.
I know we're both close.
Yay.
Opened at 3 and it went up to
3.5.
3.5.
See, this is another weird line to me.
So I got that one.
I think I like the Cards here. I'll say right off the bat, you can give me the Cards for 2.
Cards plus 3.5. Ah,
I'll take Cards plus 3.5 in this spot. Coming off that raucous victory against the Chargers.
yeah.
Uh,
So this is a complete stay away for me just because like I think Tua's gonna play, but that first game back, you don't know what you're gonna get. So I feel like if Tua plays average, I think the Dolphins win the game. But like I said, it's a stay away for me. So Josh is going Cardinals for 2.
I'm really buying into what they're doing in Arizona right now.
Yeah, just when you stick your neck out for the Cardinals, they lose by 35 to the Rams.
Yeah, but this isn't the Rams. This is not the Dolphins from last year. This is a Dolphins team mired in at best mediocrity. And I don't know. They seem like they're about to fall apart, which means that this is exactly the point where they put up like 40 points. But as long as the Cardinals put up 39.
Dolphins have 2 wins or 3 wins?
2, I think.
Interesting. They beat who did they beat? They just beat someone.
They beat some bad teams
on the road. The other, I don't remember who it was. Anyway, it doesn't really matter.
They beat the Patriots 15-10.
Oh yeah, they beat the Patriots in New England. That's
and they
right.
beat the Jaguars in opening weekend. And other than that, it's been nothing but losses.
Okay, so they beat 2 of the worst teams.
Mm-hmm.
Although when whatever, Tua's been out, obviously he makes a huge difference. So
they lost
that
the Titans.
Would be an interesting game. Like I could see it being high scoring. You got Kyler running around. If Tua looks healthy, I mean, but let's not spend any more time on it because those 2 teams probably aren't going to make it to the playoffs.
Tinky teams.
Although the Cardinals are 3-4.
3-4.
They kick a field goal as time expires to beat the Chargers, and that's a difference between 2-5 and 3-4, which is enormous. You win 2 more in a row.
That's the NFL.
All of a sudden you're above 500 and probably in the playoffs if it ended now. But all right. Ooh, okay.
Oh my God, another stinker.
The Jets and the Patriots. This is the second time they will have played this year. The Jets destroyed the Patriots in New Jersey the first meeting. So I have the Jets by 6.
I have the Jets by giving up 1.5. This is way wrong. Way wrong.
It opened at 7.5 and it's settling at a touchdown. 7 points.
Yeah, it's coming back towards left side. This is just I really don't like Aaron Rodgers. I think he's a smarmy douche. Yeah, and it'd be awesome to see his team.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people. Well, you look at the Jets on paper; they still look like a really good team.
They really do.
So I think a lot of people are still backing them, and that's why this is high.
Yeah.
Also, the Patriots are just so bad. I mean, Drake May has shown some flashes. Like he looks like he might get there eventually. Like he's got the tools.
Yep.
But I don't know what you do with this. Like the Patriots are so bad. The Jets have underperformed pretty much the whole season. like I don't know. Like it's again a stay away. Like I guessed 6, it was 7. It seems fair to me, and just leave it alone.
Yeah, I mean, you have new coach, and then they didn't get dead coach bounce, right? They lost that week, and then they got the new wide receiver, and then they lost still, and maybe they're just needing time to coalesce and gel. I don't know. I just don't see it. It didn't seem like they had the right foundation for that to happen, for that spark to ignite. And then Rodgers has looked not great in certain instances. The arm certainly seems to be there. He can still, with pinpoint accuracy and just like a rocket. But if he doesn't have that time in the pocket, like he doesn't want to get hit, he's not clearly as mobile as he was. There's just a lot stacked up against this Jets team right now.
And his hand was bleeding.
Oh,
They
good
had
Lord.
to glue it or whatever
my
they
God.
did. It was his left hand, and I'm sure it was just more of a scrape than like a big scrape than anything. But
Yeah.
so what about Devonte Adams saying he's going to live with Rodgers until he knows if the Jets are giving him the ball enough to where he wants to buy a house or something like that? I'm like, if that's true, I mean, come on, dude. Like,
Clearly, this is a team on the mend.
do you want to win, or do you just not care about
No,
winning?
I don't. That clearly he would like to win, but only if he's the focal point of that winning. If he's on the periphery of it, then
That's
not
how that's
interested.
how you should probably teach your kids to
Yeah.
behave.
There's definitely an I in team.
Yeah.
Is how it has to work. Now we'll just rework the spelling of it. I mean, it's English, so we can probably figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're a team, but this is the team that has an I.
Yeah.
And I'm it.
So that's going to get interesting because Garrett Wilson
Yeah.
is not shy. He ain't going to hide anything if like I feel like he's more modest. Like he feels like he should get the ball because he is a really good player. And he shouldn't get the ball more than anyone else or than he should to help the team sort of a thing. But like if Wilson's getting targeted 4 times a game and Devontae's getting targeted 8 times a game or whatever, he's going to get upset just because he knows it's not the right mix to win games. So
you can't have that kind of animosity.
Yeah, if they whatever, let's say they go 2-2 over the next 4 and like Devontae's getting a lot more balls, like I would argue Devontae's not even a better receiver at this point in his career. So get your popcorn ready because Garrett Wilson isn't going to be quiet. So something to watch anyway. And if they start winning games, I mean, no one's going to complain, I'm sure. But let's move on. We got an NFC North matchup between
AFC North.
Yeah, AFC. These two teams are not in the NFC. I should have just jumped to an NFC North matchup. Save face. No. The Ravens at the Browns. Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles. He's out.
The Jameis Winston era has begun.
Yeah. Although he was only the emergency quarterback last week, I assume he'll be healthy enough. Anyway.
Yeah.
Ravens, Browns. I have the Ravens on the road by 7.
I have them 6.5. It's 6.5.
I think it's like 10.
Yeah, that makes sense. It is 9. 9.
Opened at 10.5 and it's down to 9. That's a pretty big move.
I mean, this line makes all kind of sense. The Ravens just look pretty terrific. I don't know what happened the first 2 weeks of the season and what was going on there. They look great. They look great against Tampa. And Tampa came in and they sort of owned the first 10 minutes of that game or whatever. And then they didn't.
Well, what do you mean what was going on? If Likely's toe was a half inch shorter, they win.
Yeah.
And then what was week 2? Oh yeah, they lost to the Raiders, which was just like
it's fluky, weird loss.
They're up double digits, and that stuff can happen. I mean, it's happened a lot to the Ravens, but I don't know. Like they're fine. Like,
well, clearly they're fine. But like after going into the third game of the season, it was like, what's going on with the Ravens? And they had lost 2 in a row. That's weird. They're too good of a team. I mean, they were the best team in the league last year by far. They were 14-3 or whatever. So that start was weird, but they look good. They look great. They look like world beaters. I mean, I think like last year, I think they look better than Kansas City, right? Like the question I think is for them is, can they beat Kansas City in the playoffs? I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when it comes down to it, can they do the little things right and pull out a win. That obviously remains to be seen, but so this line started double digits. It's coming down. So this is sad, but for me to say I like the Jaguars and the Browns in the same week is kind of sad. But these divisional games, again, tend to be tighter. When Watson went down, the most of the crowd in Cleveland was
They cheered it, yeah.
cheering it,
Not
which
happy.
was not, I mean, that's pretty terrible, but that says something about like what they want the direction of the team to be.
Yeah.
So I think the team rallies a little bit
Yeah.
around Jameis for at least a week or two. The fan base maybe feels a little energy because Watson, I mean, he had one win, right? He just wasn't playing very well. Um, and you know, when you have to prepare for a quarterback who hasn't taken meaningful snaps in the NFL for, I don't know, probably a year or more. When did Jameis last come in to try to resurrect?
I don't know. I
the
mean, how
team?
long has he been on Cleveland? Was he on Cleveland last year?
Good question.
Because they
I don't
brought in
remember.
Flacco, because
Yeah,
Flacco, and I think Flacco was a midseason, like he didn't start the year with Cleveland. He was on the
yeah.
at home.
He was on the Bucks at one point. I'm
I
not
don't. It
sure.
was on the, but I don't either. I think one of the reasons the line is probably coming down is because you do have an unknown quantity in Winston, and you're just not sure. Like, yes, he clearly hasn't played, and he wasn't great when he was like playing week to week, but you just don't know. And he does have the odd ability to score lots of touchdowns.
Right. And throw lots of picks.
Yeah, yes, and kind of the only 30-30 guy in NFL history.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go 2 stars on the Browns. 9 can be a lot. Anything over
Yep.
7 can be a lot in the
Yep.
NFL. At home, Jameis coming in, not maybe a little bit harder to
Mhm.
prepare for him because you just haven't seen much from him lately. Maybe the Browns fan base kind of juices him up a little bit more. So, and then in the same breath, it's like, who knows? I mean, maybe the Browns still have given up, and this doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, they ended up losing by 7 to the Bengals. They lost by 4 to the Eagles. Like, it doesn't feel like they've really given up at
They've
this
been in big
point. They've just
games.
had just really bad quarterback play. So,
Yeah.
all right, Browns 2 stars for me +9.
All right.
Let's move
Go
on.
Browns.
This could be a good game.
Could be.
The Eagles
Mm.
at the Bengals. I have Bengals by 1.5.
I went the other direction, same number. Eagles by 1.5.
Okay.
It is Cincinnati by 2.5.
Yeah, since he opened at 2.5,
Yeah.
some of them are a little bit lower, closer to a pick 'em, but 2.5 is the
Yeah.
most consistent line. I when I was doing this, I had Bengals 2.5, and then I'm just like, the Eagles have played well enough where it's got to be a little bit lower than that. So I
Yeah.
would have nailed it, but I moved it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I get that one. Fair line.
Mhm.
You had the Eagles slightly favored. I had Bengals slightly favored.
Yeah.
It's Bengals slightly favored. Like either way, like I don't know. Like this should be a close game. Both teams.
They feel like they're very similar teams
Yeah.
in terms of their like tenor and how they're operating, both underperforming, both a little shaky, but they are both recent Super Bowl attendees, right? With roughly the same staffs, right? Coaching your main players, your quarterbacks, your skills position players, but they're just not quite there. And both of them feel kind of like the wheels might be coming off. So yes, good game, an unpredictable game against teams I'm just not quite sure what the problem is.
Yeah, and another thing is both of these defenses started the year just absolutely atrocious. And both seem to be getting better week by week too. So that's another similarity I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Um,
Venerated defensive coordinators. Yeah, it should be a good game.
so
Good game.
yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know if not sure if I want to give out a pick on this one or not. I feel like I'm a little bit biased because my son's a Bengals fan and I, for some reason, don't really like the Eagles that much.
I hate the Eagles.
So I think I might just stay away from it. But it's definitely an inflection point. I mean, the Bengals got to 3-4. If they
Yeah.
win this, they're 500. And then the Eagles are what, 4-2. So
Yeah.
they win. If they win this game on the road, people start talking about them as a Super Bowl contender again. And if you look at what's happening in the NFC with the Niners getting injured and not playing well, obviously the Lions have looked good, but the Vikings haven't had postseason success lately.
Mhm.
Are the Eagles going to be that team again that are like, oh yeah, I mean, I could see the Eagles going to the Super Bowl.
It feels more and more like the Super Bowl in the NFC runs through Detroit.
Yeah, absolutely. They're the most
It
consistent team.
Seems like it just, what a weird fucking thing to say.
That's what we've been saying for years.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like decades, the success Detroit has had. I mean, yeah, I mean the Eagles are right there, I guess. Like outside of that, and the Vikings, we want to see what the Vikings do this week. But who else is there? Like outside of the Lions, you're like, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
And the other thing is, I think we need to do, this is a good point in the season to do one episode on who has everyone played, like the value of your wins, like whether you're actually beating good teams and who's left on your schedule, because that's going to tell you a lot about who's actually going to be there in the end.
So speaking of the Bears, we'll get there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you too. Because they might get, if Daniels doesn't play, that's pretty lucky for them. Although I don't know, I haven't checked the latest stuff. It sounds like he has a chance to play, but we'll see.
They said the rib wasn't fractured, I think is what I read. So I don't know what exactly is going on, but not a broken rib.
Okay.
And you have a sprained rib.
Well, like the cartilage gets messed up or something.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
Fucked up rib. Okay.
I ain't no anatomologist.
Me neither, or a doctor for that matter.
Okay, so as much as I want to say Bengals -2.5, I'm not going to.
Yeah, leave it alone.
Okay. Colts at the Texans. Seems like we got a lot of divisional games.
Yeah, a lot of division happening this week.
Colts, Texans. I have Texans by 5.
The Texans given 3.5.
I think it's 6.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Opened at 6. Oh, it came down to 5. Right on,
dude. Nice. This is not going to be a good week for me.
Okay, so pure like talent wise, I wanted to go higher on the Texans, but the Colts played the Texans very tough week 1 of the season.
Yeah.
And it being a divisional game, it just, I went lower because of that, and it's settling right at 5, which I think is fair. Divisional game, Texans are clearly the better team, so it's more than 3, but Colts have played well enough where you don't expect the Texans to blow them out.
They're developing a bit of a rivalry at this point. It feels like they were very competitive against one another last year, came down to the wire for the division. I know the Jacksonville Jaguars were in last year's race too, but it really felt like the Colts and the Texans this year kind of feels the same way. I think the Colts right now by record are in the playoffs as the last wild card team in the AFC, maybe because they're 4-3. I mean, this does feel like a fair line. I think you're right. The Texans are probably the better team, but they do manage to play each other close. Yeah.
So usually when I guess it right on, I don't have an opinion because I feel like it's a fair line. Obviously, that makes a lot of sense. So I don't have another opinion on this game. So we'll leave it at that. We got a lot more to do. Let's do the Titans at the Lions. I have Lions by 12.
Yeah, I underbid this one. I went 8.5. I thought that was low.
But it's right in the middle, roughly. It opened at
no, it's 11.
Opened at 11.5. It's down to 11, 10.5 one spot, but we'll call it 11.
Yeah. It's fair. Lions right now. I mean, I know that the Chiefs are 6-0, and they just got a new wideout, but I feel like the Lions look like the best team in the NFL right now. Well, outside of the Ravens.
Yeah.
Just what the performance looks like on the field.
I don't know. Like, let's just say that the Lions and Chiefs meet in the Super Bowl. I just think the Chiefs will be able to stop the Lions more than the Lions will be able to stop the Chiefs, and that's what would be the difference for me. But I mean, The rematch from last year's opener
Yeah,
on
opener. Yeah,
Thursday
it
would
was a 1 point game. It was a great game.
that'd be decent.
That'd be fun. And the Lions have never made a Super Bowl, so that would be in and of itself just
You've never
fits.
made it to one? Oh yeah,
Never.
because that was before the Super Bowl era when they were in the championship games,
Yes, they
right?
were NFC and whatever it was, the NFL champions or NFC champions, whatever that was.
The Football League
Yeah,
champions.
just like the Browns were excellent like in the 40s and the Bears were excellent in the 40s and the 50s, right? That's where all their titles live before the NFL, before the merger.
Yeah. So I don't know. Was Levis not fully healthy? They have such a mess. It's like
Why don't they sit
Rudolph,
him?
they're
Yeah.
probably okay. Levis has more talent. Rudolph makes fewer mistakes. They're probably about the same caliber of quarterback overall. And then Levis is like not 100%. So it's just like,
I don't see what you get by sticking with him at this point. Like
and
I just
me talking about this for 30 seconds is more than anyone should be talking about it because who cares? But I guess to some people it's probably interesting on the quarterback situation.
I mean, I guess, but it's just I don't see the Titans aren't all of a sudden going to turn this around and win out, right? And be playoff contenders. Like what they are is what they are. They're going to stay kind of a mess. And I think the bigger question is this the right coaching staff to pull them out of it and put the right structure in place to be successful? Can they identify the next quarterback? Can they identify the right pieces around him? I don't know. We don't know. But what they're doing now, managing a mess, seems like maybe not. And I know this is the first year for the staff, but it's just the results are not great.
Yeah.
They're not great.
So I'm going to stick my neck out there for the Titans on this one. It seems to be a theme this week. These awful teams who have no consistency, like I'm backing them, but I just, I mean, the reason for it, the Lions just went on the road and beat the Vikings, the undefeated Vikings, right? So
had a great game.
Now, while it seems like the Lions are less prone to a letdown than a lot of other teams, you did see it happen. They lost at home to the Bucks back in week 2 or 3.
Yes. Yep.
I'm not saying the Titans are going to win. I just think 11 is a lot, and I think the Lions could be a little bit sluggish. Although when they get going, it seems like they score a touchdown on every drive. I just think
that offense just moves. It just moves.
I think they will start off slow, and then I think the Titans defense like can be difficult to play against. I mean, like the Bills ended up beating them by 20 plus points, but that game was like tied late in the second quarter or early third quarter or something like that. Like, or they were up 10-0, I think, on the Bills. Anyway, I just like I said, 11 can be a lot, and it seems like a spot where maybe the Lions are taking the Titans a little bit lightly, even though that's not really their way of doing things. And 11 maybe ends up being a lot. Maybe the Lions win by 4 or 7 or 10 or whatever. Just not 11. So I'm going 2 stars on the Titans.
Yeah, this is just the Titans are not an offensive juggernaut. I mean, they put 30 points up against the Dolphins, but other than that, they haven't cracked 20 yet. So I think you're right. The spread is sort of an anything can happen spread. And can they beat them by a touchdown? For sure. Could the Lions be up by like 20 for most of the game and still like only win by a touchdown? Yeah, so that it kills the spread. But Titans are bad. Lions are good.
Yeah. And if it seems like every team, I don't pay that close attention, but it seems like every team defers. Like, oh yeah, let's defer so we get it the second half. If you're the Titans, take the ball and try to have a 6-minute drive and then score some points.
Consistency. Yeah, just get some. Yeah.
Don't give it to the Lions and be down 7, and then pretty soon Levis is throwing shovel passes to the
the interceptions. Yeah. Oh.
All right. Okay. Enough about
mistakes. Yeah. Let's move on.
Garbage.
Let's move.
So I'm going Titans for 2. I think we're about halfway through. We got the Falcons at the Bucks,
rematch of a really good game.
I did not realize Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
His season ended when I didn't follow the end of the game, didn't watch it, so I didn't know he got hurt. So I am way off on this one, but I'm just leaving it the way it is. So I had Bucks by 3.
I had the same.
We both had Bucks by 3, obviously, with Mike Evans hamstring shredded
Mhm.
and
The rest
Godwin
receivers,
out.
yep.
It's not going to be that much. I think it's actually Falcons by 3 or 2.5.
It's Falcons by 2.5. Yeah.
So it is Falcons 2.5.
Yeah.
So we obviously tie that.
Yes. I like the Bucks as a better team here, all things being equal, but given their injuries, this makes sense. I don't like the Falcons.
Yeah, the Falcons just lost at home to the Seahawks
Yeah.
in well, I guess I predicted it would happen. A lot of people maybe didn't, but this is a weird. I wish the Bucks were healthy just because of the way the last game ended. The Bucks controlled pretty much the whole game, and then the Bucks. I don't want to say it was like bad clock management. They had a couple penalties. They weren't able to kick a field goal.
Yep.
Then the Falcons came down, tied it, and won in overtime.
Yep.
So it's kind of a fluky win for the Falcons. So I was hoping the Bucks would be healthy because it would have been a good rematch essentially.
Yep.
So now the Bucks' top 2 receivers are going to be out, and you just don't know what you're going to get.
Well, you're going to get touchdowns and interceptions from Baker Mayfield. You're going to get that.
Yeah.
Lots of both.
What a weird game. The Bucks were up 10-0, and then they got down 41-10, and then they scored
a bunch of points. They were like this with 21 to something.
Then they scored 3 touchdowns, got an onside kick. It was just a weird game.
It was. Just the Bucks are a weird team. There's just a lot of inconsistency within each game where they look brilliant for a bit in a game and then they don't and then they do. It's not like week to week they're bad one game and they're good the next. It's just within their internal rhythm is quite strange in terms of how they play.
Well, even the Saints game was the same thing. They got up 17-0, then they were down 2017 or something like that, and then they ended up winning by 20 plus points.
Yeah, it was 41. So they allowed the Ravens to score 41, but then they ended up scoring 31. And they came back and they looked so good in the opening quarter really of that game. They looked like they were going to be able to score, and it was like, what's going on? And then the Ravens took control and ended up winning. I don't know. With Baker, the way he's your true gunslinger quarterback, right? He's going to just whip it all over the field, and sometimes it'll be a touchdown, and sometimes it'll be a touchdown for the other team.
Yeah, I will say I really would have liked the Bucks here if they were healthy, just because. I mean, Kirk threw for 500 yards on him last time. That ain't gonna go over well in the locker room.
Nope.
But when you're missing your guys, it's just gonna be a tough. It's gonna be a tough game for the Bucks to win.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't like anything either way. It's just hard to predict with injuries.
No, but this is. I feel like this is for the division, right? Like the Panthers aren't certainly going to come back and compete for it, and I think the Saints are probably out of it too. So these are the 2 teams, and the Falcons already have one, and they've got identical records. This is what the Bucks need this game.
Both teams are 4-3, right?
Yep.
I agree because I have to believe Evans is going to miss at least a couple weeks. He looked in a lot of pain, and he already had a hamstring injury, and now he was it just seemed like he shredded it. So if you're the Bucks, you got to try to win 1 or 2 of the next 5, and then hopefully you get Evans back, and you can win in 9 or 10 games and make the playoffs. But
maybe they should reach out to the Jets to see if Devontae Adams wants to come and play for the Bucks.
Yeah, probably. And Rodgers too.
I mean, he didn't buy a house, so So maybe
not yet.
He could room with Baker.
Yeah.
In Cleveland Stadium.
We're mixing it all together.
We are.
Okay, we got 7 left.
That's good.
I'm up 6-2.
Oh, that's bad. Bad week.
Saints at the Chargers. Here's another one where I kind of assumed Carr wasn't playing, but kind of thought there's a chance. So I went Chargers by 8.
And I've got the Chargers given 4.
Wrong way.
Ooh, and it is 7.5.
7.5. Chargers minus 7.5.
I don't think the Chargers are a good enough team to warrant that big of a spread.
So this is, I'll tell you why it's that big. So Rattler's most likely going to play. He has been pretty bad.
He's been pretty.
The Chargers do have a, I would say, a top 10 defense overall. So that's a bad mix. You saw what Rattler tried to do against the Broncos. Like that was bad. So Rattler against a good defense. Chargers coming home after a road loss.
Yeah.
They need one. And the Saints defense, I stuck my head out there for the Saints defense last week. I'm like, oh yeah, they'll play better. Because they, their tackling was horrible. They gave up 1 million points in the Bucs.
Really, really bad.
They just can't tackle. It's like they interviewed Cam Jordan before the game, and he's like, yeah, we know what we got to do. Let's stop talking about it. And then they didn't do it. Like they couldn't tackle Javonte Williams. Bo Nix didn't even have an arm. Like he wasn't even throwing. He was throwing the ball 10 yards over his receivers' heads, and they still couldn't tackle the running back. It was
he was
so bizarre. Like
it was awful.
How Dennis Allen still has a job as their defensive minded coach, coaching a defense that cannot tackle is bizarre. Like
it was strange. I get why he was the interim coach when they, but why they kept him makes no sense to me. I think I went low on the Chargers just because I'm not sold on the Chargers right now. I mean, their defense is pretty good, but their offense seems to want to sputter, and they're struggling against, I think, mediocre opponents. Saints may be less than a mediocre opponent, but I don't know. This just seems like a big spread for the Chargers. Like, are they going to win? Probably, but are they going to win like 17-12? That seems like right to me. Like the Saints can probably kick 4 field goals.
Yeah. 7.5's a lot. I obviously like the Chargers to win. You're almost never going to hear me say take the favored team who's favored by more than a touchdown in the NFL because it's so unpredictable. Like like really bad teams can be in games even on the road in the NFL. So that's all I have to say about that one.
We can move on.
Okay, we got the Bills at the Seahawks. The 5-2 Bills against the 4-3 Seahawks, I think.
Yeah.
I have the Bills by 3.5.
I went the other way for some reason. I went Seahawks by 2.5. Give them 2.5. It's the Bills by 3.
Okay, Bills -3. Okay, so Seahawks just won on the road at the Falcons.
Yeah.
The Bills ended up blowing out the Titans.
They sure did.
I've said this before, but the last few years, like the Bills seems like they've gotten more love than a lot of other teams.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess I was close on this. I said Bills -3.5. It's 3. I think it's fair. Like I think the Bills are significantly better than the Seahawks, even though they only have one more win.
Yeah.
But I think it's fair. This is another one where it feels like the Bills should win by about 3, and I don't have a strong opinion on it.
Yeah, I agree. It's the Bills are the better team. These are at this point a battle between 2 division leaders. And it is East Coast, West Coast. So that always factors in supposedly. And the Bills, I think they've looked good at times and they've struggled in some instances, even though they've come out. I remember, the Cardinals game, I think early on in the season, they were down and they had to come back, and there were a few other games like that. So just, I don't know. The Seahawks felt like too good an opponent for the Bills to be favored this much. And the Seahawks have been a very solid football team this year. Not great, probably going to make the playoffs because their division's fairly weak, it looks like. I don't know. This just felt like the Seahawks should have gotten a little more love.
All right. I'm not telling you one way or another on that one. But could be a good game. I just don't think at the end of the day you're going to say the Seahawks won that game. I mean, the Bills lost to the Ravens when the Ravens needed to show that they were still an elite team.
Yep.
And their other loss was, I don't even remember, who did the Bills lose to? They lost 2 in a row, but I don't remember who it was. I think it was a decent team. I just don't remember.
Texans.
Oh, and they lost to the Texans.
In a
That
close
ended up
game.
being a super close
Close
game.
game.
So
23-20.
I
So
don't know. Like, if the Seahawks can win this game, it's a really good win for them just
great win.
because you go to 5-3 rather versus
Mhm.
4-4.
Mhm.
The division's for the taking with the Niners
Yep.
3-4, and you beat a really good team who's maybe a Super Bowl contender. So I just don't know if they're going to get it. I just feel like the Bills win, and I don't know if it's going to be by 2 or 6.
Give me the Seahawks here. I'll take the Seahawks.
All
I'll
right.
take the Seahawks. You know what? Put 3 stars on it.
Holy cat.
So the Bills are going to win and cover.
All right.
I don't know. I just feels like maybe the Seahawks have something to prove. Then they do, but so do the Bills. But screw it.
The revival of the 12th man.
Yeah, there it is, right? So, it's that. It is just the East Coast to West Coast trip. That's what I'm banking on more than anything.
All right.
Oh boy, here we go.
Okay. You look up Daniel's status, and I'll
Vamp.
get us there.
Yeah.
We got the Bears at the Commanders. It was supposed to be Caleb versus Jaden, the two teams playing well with winning records, and Jaden Daniels hurt his ribs. He didn't play more than half of the last game. We don't know if he's going to play.
He didn't practice yesterday.
Okay.
But they've not defined his status yet.
Okay. So to that point, like you always hear there's injuries where if they play, they're not going to hurt it worse unless they get hit, like unless it's a new injury or whatever. I don't know if this is one of those or not. Like, I don't know if you can make it worse by, throwing a ball really hard.
Yeah.
It seems like maybe that would be the case. But if they come out and say he's not going to hurt himself worse by trying it, I think he's going to play just because this is a big game. Everyone wants to see those.
Everybody wants to see it.
And
everybody wants to see it.
Like the Commanders' chances of winning with Daniels versus Mariota in this game are considerably
higher. Yep.
So I would have gone higher if I thought Daniels was playing for sure. I went Commanders by 1.5.
Yeah. So I went Washington by 3, giving 3. The same. I didn't adjust for Daniels being out, but
and the right line. Guess what?
The Bears
are favored by 2.5.
Yeah. Which I mean. I guess I get it given their record and the some of the gaudy numbers they've put up against like literally the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, pull up who they've beaten. They've had the worst schedule, I think.
The best worst schedule, yeah. So they beat the Titans, they beat the Jaguars, they beat
the Panthers.
And those are all like 1-win team. No, well, now the Jaguars are a 2-win team. And then their other win was against another only 1-win. At the time they played them, they were all 1-win teams, right? So this is not, I think, their offense, the DVOA for their offense, is like 24. So they're not world beaters. How good can you possibly be if you're only able to beat the worst teams? Oh, and the Rams, that was the other team. The Rams are not great.
So this game, I've never been so polarized on a game. Like if Daniels does not play, absolutely the Bears. Like
yes,
Mariota against a very good defense is just a tough matchup. And
Washington's defense is not good. It's not.
Yeah, they've been kind of hit and miss.
They're not, like, just by ranking, they're in the bottom half of the league. So, and the Bears have shown they can work a defense that isn't great.
Well, here's one thing though: the Commanders have scored so many points on so many teams, so like you're going to give up points for teams that are trying to throw the ball every down, and like so I wonder if it's purely like total defense or if it's more like yards and points that you're looking at for like being one of the worst. Because
great question.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like if Daniels doesn't play, I think the Bears do have a shot here. But if Daniels plays, I feel like this is going to be Washington. I don't want to say a disaster, but I think Washington's the better team, all things being equal.
Yeah, I agree. And the Bears being 2.5, I have to think Vegas has something that's telling them that Daniels most likely won't play, because if he plays and he is healthy, like that line's going to jump a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There you go. If you think Daniels still has a decent chance of playing, you probably take the Commanders and hope he plays, and then you're getting a few free points, because if he plays and he's healthy, that line should be probably Commanders by
No
3,
question.
like you said.
No question.
Or you could argue more. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean their defense. I know the Bears are on the road, but that defense has been good, and they have, at least according to the Ringer, the number one passing defense in the league. So
yeah, what a break they get though
Yeah.
if Daniels doesn't play. Like,
I know, but you want as a Bears fan, for me, you want them to prove themselves against a good team. You know, they've done. You can't take away the fact that they've put the shitty teams in the trash can, which is what you should do. Like you can't, like that's what needs to happen. But now you need to do it against a good team, and the Washington, I think, clearly is with Jaden Daniels healthy.
but they're going to get plenty of chances to do that.
They are, no question.
Having to play the Lions, Vikings, and
all of them
Packers
twice. Yes.
So to
Yes.
me, it's like you just take your win if you can get it
Yep.
against the backup quarterback,
No
and
question.
then Williams keeps playing better, and you keep gaining momentum before you play.
I mean, they could be
the
7-2,
division.
right? By the time they have to play the Packers, because they play the Commanders, and then it's the Cardinals and the Patriots, or the Patriots and the Cardinals. And those two games, I do feel the Bears are better than those teams, and then they can win those games. So if you can win this, and Daniels isn't, then you're 7-2. So I mean, at that point, a loss to the Packers is, even if you lose, because I think it goes Packers, Lions, Vikings again. So even if you come out of that and you're 7-5, you're still looking pretty good to make the playoffs. And I don't know. Again,
Well,
I don't know what this says about a team, but
because the rest of the North is going to be 7-5 or better.
they're definitely going to. That's, well, you're not going to probably beat the rest of the North, but can you beat the rest of the NFC?
Well, let's just go through that quick. Obviously, the East, the Eagles are by far the best. Well, the Eagles and the Commanders are both have 2 or fewer losses. So that's going to be,
yeah, they're both 4-2 or 5. Maybe one of them is 5-2.
That makes this game even bigger because you could see a scenario where the Bears and Commanders have the same record and they get the tiebreaker because they beat them.
Yeah. So currently,
no one in the West is going to do anything. The South we've talked about. Yeah. So
I mean, the Bears right now are the seventh seed in the playoff rankings right now, and the Commanders are 5-2. They're sitting in the 2nd seed. The Lions are the 1 seed. They get the bye. Seahawks and Falcons, and then Vikings, Packers, Bears as the wild cards, with the Eagles and the Bucks and the Cowboys kind of right behind them.
Don't even say the Cowboys. They ain't.
No, that's
they
fair.
Ain't doing nothing.
That's fair. So the only competition out of this is the Eagles. So can you be better than the Eagles?
And the Bucks if they get healthy a little bit.
Well, or the Bucks and the Falcons fight each other for the division, and then one just doesn't make the playoffs like last year.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, so I don't know. I think this is a very interesting game from multiple perspectives.
Yeah. Playoff positioning being the question is, the Bears went 4-2 over their first 6 games. Can they go 4-2 over their next 6? And the next 6 are Commanders, Patriots, Cardinals, I think Packers, Vikings, Lions.
If you beat the teams you're supposed to beat, like they should be set up decently to make a playoff run.
Yeah, I mean, yes, 7-3 coming out of that Packers loss, which I'm assuming is a loss. I guess you'd be happy if a Bears fan was just looking at their record.
Yeah, so definitely an interesting matchup. Also, the Commanders' defense, depending how you look at it, maybe hasn't been great, but Dan Quinn against a rookie quarterback at home, like, could he scheme it up? Is Caleb still going to look good like he's been looking, or is he going to struggle a little bit? That's another question.
And against an offensive line that they have done like nothing to improve and was terrible, right? And I don't. A lot of what they were saying was terrible about the line at the start was personnel, right? It was the people, and they have done nothing. There've been no trade. Any trade rumors that have come out of the Bears camp has been, let's get another pass rusher, which seems stupid. And you wouldn't work the offensive line. That makes no sense to me. But I don't know. I agree. If we need to see how the Bears handle pressure, how that offensive line handles pressure, and what Caleb Williams does against pressure. Because when they face the Vikings, he's going to have his head up his ass all game. For that defense.
Well, we'll see. I mean, Goff figured it out. They scored 4 straight touchdowns on 4 drives after 3 and outs. So
I think Goff is a veteran quarterback who's been to a Super Bowl.
I know,
and it just looks like one of the top quarterbacks in the league last year and into this year. He's doing it now repeatedly. I don't know. That was impressive though, the way he handled, because that defense is good. The Vikings defense is good. And the way that he kept himself calm and collected, the whole team did, that was, I think, very impressive.
All right, let's go on. We got the Chiefs at the Raiders. I said Chiefs by 6.5.
I did also Chiefs by 6.5.
Woo. You know how I know we tie that? Because we guessed the same thing.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly how you did. It's down. It's 9.5. The Chiefs are giving 9.5.
Opened at 10.5,
Yep.
and it's 9.5.
That's right.
Tie. Who got this one? Me up here?
You did. Yeah, you did.
All right. So have the Raiders given up?
I mean, they got rid of their cancerous wide receiver.
And then O'Connell was hurt, which is why Minshew came back in, right?
I think that's right.
So I don't know who's playing this game. I've said this before that Minshew definitely gives them the best chance to win. We just don't know if they actually want to win.
Yep.
Okay, so Chiefs by 9.5 on the road. It's just getting to the point where they don't lose to anyone.
Yep.
And that number is just going to keep going up until someone beats them or covers.
Yep.
So by that,
Raiders.
it's I guess it's fair, but like a divisional game, you always, if you're gonna pick it, you always take the home dog when they're getting that many points, or just stay away from it. But I mean, with what the Chiefs have done, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Chiefs. It's not just this year; it's the past 2 years. It's the whole like Mahomes era. So this line makes sense in light of that. And then, I mean, it's been pretty consistent. Actually went down. So it's weird that the trade for that one, and I know it just broke, but this line might trend a little higher now because of that.
So to me, it went down just because historically these divisional games, home dog, like they just cover. Like it doesn't make sense that they should, because they're like the Raiders are not good.
Yeah.
But people just don't think about it that 10 points is a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of ways to cover plus 10. So I'm staying away from it. I just don't know if the Raiders, like, is this the week where they totally give up? I don't know. So I'm staying away from that. We got 3 games left.
Yes.
Panthers at the Broncos. I said Broncos 9.5.
At least I'm on the right side of this one. I had Broncos giving up 6, and it is 10.
Opened at 7.5 and went to 10.
Yep. 10.
What does that even mean? What injury? That's usually an injury or something.
Didn't Dalton get injured? Wasn't he injured in the last game?
No. So he got in a car accident with his family, and they were okay.
Yeah.
But, well, the initial report was there's no major injuries, but they don't know if he had a minor injury or anything. So monitor the quarterback situation, I guess.
Yeah, this isn't because of Bo Nix's play, I will tell you that much. Because he doesn't look good.
So it's -10, went up to 10. Interesting. Yeah. So I get that one.
Yeah.
I'm up 10-2, so I'm going to win the week, but
he won the week like 7 games ago.
So
it's a really high line for the Broncos.
I think, like, here's what's going to happen the rest of the year with the Panthers. They're going to get blown out by pretty much everyone. Yeah. And then every third or fourth game, they're going to be in a game that they have no business being in.
That's right.
I don't know if this is one of those or not. I mean, the Broncos are on extra rest after a Thursday game, I believe. They're playing better. They're against a really bad team.
4-3.
So the big thing here is, are you going to get an A-level effort from the Broncos playing maybe the worst team in the league?
Yeah.
That's the question. Yeah. If you do get a good effort, I think they cover. If they're like, oh, the Panthers, we can take them lightly, maybe not.
I mean, if Dalton's starting and he's healthy, there's a chance they can cover. But I think if he's injured, I don't see that happening.
Broncos defense is
good,
really good.
Yeah, it's been really good. Yeah, it's the reason they're 4-3.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Bad game. I don't want to watch
Yeah,
it.
no, it's not.
I don't want to watch
No,
Bo
just
Nix
check the score. No.
miss a target by 10 yards, and I don't
Yeah,
want to
missed
watch.
2 targets. Oh my God.
So is this? Tell me there's not 2 Monday games, and this is Sunday Night Football.
No, there's not.
Okay.
There's not too many. I don't think they're. I don't know. I don't know what the schedule is for double Monday night games, but it's not. There's not one this week.
Don't watch this game,
Mm-mm.
but when 6 o'clock rolls around, check the score. If it's close,
Maybe
turn it on and just see. Like it might be interesting, but
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe.
2 left. We got the Cowboys. We got the 6-0 Cowboys against the 6-0 Niners.
No, return to the 1990s.
No, we have the toilet Cowboys and the injured Niners.
Yeah.
I have Niners by 6.
I have the Niners by 5. Give me 5.
Okay, what is it? It is
4.
open at 6, went down to 4. So I'll tell you why that moved. I think. So Debo, I don't think Debo's going to play. He's got pneumonia or pneumonia-like something, fluid in his lungs and the whole bit. So I think 6 was if Debo's playing, and now it's 4 because he might not be. And all of a sudden, the Niners receiving core is a guy who got shot in the chest 7 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He's the healthy one, literally.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe Jennings will play. So you got Pearsall and Jennings. Ayuk's done for the year. If Debo doesn't play, you're going to have Cowing, I think is his name, is there, who caught a couple passes at the end of the Chiefs game.
And
so
Kittle's still healthy, isn't he?
Kittle's actually questionable this week
Is he?
as well, but they're probably going to say, dude, we need you.
You gotta
to play.
just get out there, man.
So if the Niners are somewhat healthy, I think the Niners blow them out. I just think the Cowboys are a much worse team.
Yeah.
I think the Niners are still sort of okay. They've just kind of had bad luck.
Yeah.
But
Better coach team for sure.
with so many guys out, I don't know what you do here. I think it's a stay away for sure.
Yep. Agreed.
Okay, Josh got that one. We got one left.
And I didn't get it that one.
Giants at the Steelers. So I went Steelers by 9.
I got the Steelers giving 3.5.
You, I think, are closer.
No, you are closer because it's 6.5.
It's open at 6. It went to 6.5.
Yes.
So I barely get that.
So half a point.
So Russell Wilson looked really good.
Yes,
he
did.
Throwing those deep balls where he just drops it in a bucket.
Yep.
He looked way better than he should have after not playing a regular season game for a long time.
And after just recent history, last few years, he hasn't. I don't think he's looked that good since he was in Seattle. So
yeah, I think you're seeing why they made the quarterback switch.
Yes,
I've said this a few times throughout the year. He just gives them a better chance as a true
passing
quarterback.
That's right. Yep.
To make a Super Bowl run. Fields maybe gets them to the playoffs if he plays every game, but he just doesn't have those touch passes. He just can't do it. Or he hasn't shown that he can do it. So
he's sort of an unwillingness to make those type of passes. He'd rather hold on to the ball than throw it. Anticipatory throws are just something he cannot or will not do. I don't know why. I think, at least from his time in Chicago, there were times when he had some beautiful deep passes where they were right where they needed to be, catching the receiver in stride. But those were so few and far between. It's mystifying to me what his hesitancy is behind the pocket, because it seems like he's got everything else that he needs to be successful except that.
Yeah. So the announcers kept saying they thought they might see both quarterbacks in at some point in the red zone to do some silly stuff. And I was kind of like, that seems like such a college thing to do. But I mean, imagine, Wilson under center and Fields as a
wideout or running back,
right? Like you could pitch it to Fields and then you could throw it. You could pitch it to Fields, and now you're not worried about Fields getting hurt as much. So if you just pitch it to him and have him run, or run the option, you wouldn't want to do the option a lot because it just doesn't really work in the NFL. But if someone's not ready for it, it can work here and there.
Yeah, it just seems so un-Tomlin-like. Like any of that stuff. You know what I mean? It just doesn't seem like what he would want to do as a football coach. even if he's got the tools to do it. Now, as a one-off play to catch the team off guard, right? In a situation where they need the points, they need to score. I totally get it, but I just feel like that's not something we'll see too often.
Yeah. All right. I wish we had a better
Monday night game. I know.
and Sunday night game.
Yeah, these both
like
kind of stink.
Bears Commanders is interesting to me if Daniels plays. Well, even if
Yeah.
he doesn't, I think it's still interesting.
Bills Seahawks a better game.
Yeah, Bills Seahawks could be good. Like it's worth the watch, I would say.
Yeah. Eagles Bengals.
Other than that, yeah, Eagles Bengals and
maybe Texans Colts.
Yeah, Texans Colts, and then possibly if Tua looks good, like
Yeah.
Cards Dolphins is a little bit intriguing.
Yeah.
Overall, not a great slate, I would say, but it's the NFL. It's still fun to watch.
Yeah, I like football.
Go Vikings!
Go Bears.